If someone says, I'm so disappointed in you, it feels awful. You don't want to do that to your kids. They're learning, they're forming, they're new human beings. Don't treat them like little adults.
He's so stubborn and wants to do what he wants and not what I ask, and I have to convince him before he does what I want.
Okay, so you're just in the begging zone. If you're always micromanaging them and telling them what to do, they're going to resent you.
She argues about little things like this all the time.
She's playing you like a fiddle. Just means that you're not a leader. She's basically saying, I don't respect you. Welcome to the BratBusters Parenting Podcast. My name's Lisa Bunnage. I'm a parenting coach. I'm a mom. I'm also a grandmother.
And I'm Amy Bunnage, Lisa's daughter, and I handle the marketing and planning here at BratBusters. While I don't have kids, each episode will dive into parenting topics and Lisa will answer your questions. Let's get started.
Okay, sweetie, what are we talking about today?
So the topic today, it was sparked from something that you said in a podcast a few weeks ago, and it was looking disappointed in your kids and why this hurts their self-esteem.
Well, if you look disappointed in anybody, it's going to hurt their feelings. And children, we're building their self-esteem here, okay? They're not coming fully formed. So we're helping to form them. So yeah, if you look disappointed, if they do something bad, don't bring emotions into it. Disappointment, anger, and frustration is emotions. Don't bring emotions into discipline. So when they do something naughty, because then it becomes part of their personality more. Just treat it like a business transaction. Okay, you did that. Yeah, okay, that was bad. So here's your consequence. And then, oh, do you want to go to the park now? So yeah, disappointment, frustration, and anger makes you look like you're out of control too. So you want to look like a leader, calm. You're going to make mistakes. Everybody does. But you want to aim to not bring emotions into any discipline or any bad behavior. Just treat it like a business transaction.
Okay. And something that comes up a lot is parents ask, how will the kids know that it's bad behavior if you aren't showing disappointment?
They are, because you said that was bad. You said it. You don't need to show it. They already get it. They're not stupid. Parents seem to think their kids are morons when they go on and on and on explaining why something was bad. They usually already get it. It's very rare that a kid doesn't know that hitting is not bad. That hitting is bad. Do you know what I mean? They already know. It's very rare that kids do naughty things that they don't already know, unless they're maybe a really young toddler. But they know hitting is wrong. They know grabbing stuff off people is wrong. They know throwing stuff is wrong. They already know. Why do you need to drive that home? You do that out of your own revenge. You want to get it out of your system. That's why you do it. They already know. You're just berating them. It's like a police pulls you over for a speeding ticket. He doesn't tell you why you were speeding, why you shouldn't speed. You already know. The speed limit is this. Here's your ticket. He doesn't berate you. It's sort of patronizing in a way. It's berating, bullying, and shaming.
I guess the last thing, just before we get into the questions as well, is there a difference between showing disappointment or anger towards the kids at something they've done versus just like you're disappointed or angry at something else that's happened in life? Is that a difference there?
Okay, well, let's say that a kid does something naughty. They threw something across the room and it broke, okay? You say, okay, you threw that across the room and it broke. Here's your consequence. And then lay down a consequence. If you said, oh, I can't believe you threw that. You know better than that. Why would you do that? You know what? You know you shouldn't do that. You see all that? It's just a pain in the butt. They're going to tune you out. You must feel the difference when I'm talking like that.
No, I know. I'm more example in traffic driving. Someone cuts you off.
That's different.
You're
I show
angry.
disappointment, anger, and frustration. I'm not raising those people. This is parenting I'm talking about, by the way.
That's what I'm
I show
referring to.
anger, frustration, disappointment, disgust, lividness. I show all that. No holding back, totally emotional, 100%. I'm not raising those other drivers.
I think that's the important.
I'm not their leader. As a parent, you want to be the leader. So this is leadership talk we're talking about here. But also, even with adults, you don't want them to be angry with you or disappointed in you. They can just say, it's okay if they say you hurt my feelings, then you want to make it up to them. But yeah, no one really likes it when you've made someone angry. It's not a good feeling. So they're allowed to be angry, but that's an adult relationship. But still, it doesn't make you feel good if someone says, I'm so disappointed in you. Ugh, it feels awful. You don't want to do that to your kids. They're learning, they're forming. They're new human beings. Don't treat them like little adults. Some ways you do, but other ways you don't. Like you want to give respect like they're an adult, but you don't talk to them like that. Whereas you can talk to an adult. I'm really disappointed you did that. I'm surprised. I thought you were nicer than that, blah, blah, blah. That's okay with an adult, but I wouldn't do that to a kid.
Okay, should we get into the questions?
Sure.
So we have Rachel from Brazil. I have a 2-year-old boy that's the sweetest little kid you'll ever meet. He's kind, empathetic, likes to hug kids, just really kind. Recently, we traveled for a week with a cousin that's the same age, but not as nice. I don't know if something happened, probably did, but since this trip last month, he started hitting other kids when he doesn't get his way, even me sometimes. Most times it's not in rage or control kind of way, but mimicking that behavior. My husband thinks it's a phase and we have to be firm, but I never had to yell or scream or nothing like that because up until now, he always behaved nicely. I'm afraid of being too soft, but I'm also afraid of bringing anger to our lives. I don't know what to do.
Okay, you're not going to like this, but you can't blame the other kid for that because if they are hitters, it's already in them. So the other kid just opened his eyes to what was already in there. If they're not hitters, they will never hit back. They just don't hit. So it's something that's in them. They're born with that, but it's your job to train them out of that. So it's not the other kid. It just opened his eyes to what was already in there. Okay. So don't blame that other kid. Now, also, you just say no, and then you remove him from the fun or remove the fun from him every single time he hits. Okay. So it could just be a matter of removing yourself. You just grab his hand when he hits you and you say no, and then you can just quietly walk away and go do the dishes or something. So he'll eventually learn. But yeah, the other kid just opened his eyes to what was already there. Because if you're either born to hit or you're not, if there's 4 things that you're born to do or you're never going to do them. One is hitting, one is tantrums, one is climbing, and one is running, like running away from you. And yeah, that's one of them. So it was going to come out eventually anyway.
Okay, we have Gina from Lebanon. I have a 3-year-old and a 4-month-old baby. My eldest kid won't listen like he can, and he does hear me but ignores. I have to repeat the same request or sentence 3 or 4 times, and at the end just end up shouting at him or for him to start doing what I'm asking for. And he always drags and keeps on trying to take all the time before he does what he's asking or what I'm asking for. He's so stubborn and wants to do what he wants and not what I ask. And I have to convince him before he does what I want.
Okay, so you're just in the begging zone. Yeah, just start with the free behavior board. It's on my website called BratBusters.com, and you start with 1 rule per week, and you only go to 3 rules, 3 behavior boards each week, and then you go off the behavior board. That would be the course, the boot camp course. But what you do is you put down a rule. It could be something like this: put your jacket, shoes, bag away within 10 minutes of arriving home. That could be a good rule to start with. That's teaching him how to do something. And then if he doesn't do it, there's a consequence, and you time it. It's just check out the behavior board. It explains how to do that. And you don't want them to be obedient soldiers. Like the way you say, he doesn't listen to me. I never really told my kids what to do. They understood the rules and the boundaries, and they knew that if they didn't follow them, there'd be a consequence. They have pride in doing the right thing on their own. If you're always micromanaging them and telling them what to do, they're going to resent you, because you don't want to be a nag, right? So yeah, you don't want to start out that way. You want to just teach him the rules and the boundaries, and then if he doesn't follow them, there's a consequence. So put your shoes, coat, jacket away, or it could be put your dishes on the counter after you finished eating. It could be make your bed every morning. Start with 1, okay? And then just master that, then go on to the next. He doesn't listen to you because he doesn't respect you. So you got to earn that respect. And the way you do that, start with the behavior board. You're on there too. That's the giving respect. You don't get respect until you've given it. So you got to give respect to get it. That's why you're on that behavior board. That's what makes it work. Without that, you're not a leader. You're just a dictator.
It might be worth it as well. There was a podcast episode a few back, and it was actually titled, "You Don't Want Obedient Little Soldiers." So might be worth listening to.
Very good. Yeah, you don't want obedient little soldiers. Then you're always having to tell them what to do. Wait till the teen years. That's when it backfires. So yeah, they may be obedient little children, which some people think is great. I never wanted that. But yeah, what's going to happen when they're teenagers? If they don't have that self-discipline, they're not going to be obedient to it. They're not going to want to listen to you and you telling them what to do. You don't want to be micromanaging them anyway. You want them to be what's it called? Self-disciplining, but self-efficient. And what's that word?
Well, if I say it, are you going to make fun of my vocabulary?
Of course.
Do you want them to be intrinsically motivated?
Intrinsically motivated. Oh, geez, Lou. Okay. Oh, okay. Now I can't make fun of that because you told me I'm going to. So darn it. Intrinsically motivated, whatever. Okay, yeah, that's what you want. You set me up for that. Like, what can I say after that?
You want the motivation to come from within.
Okay, there you go. Intrinsically motivated. Okay, let's move on. That was painful.
That felt like a whisper of making fun, but
yeah, no, I didn't. I was just sneezing. Oh.
Okay. We have Natasha from the United Kingdom. My just turned 6-year-old has started to lie a lot, from little white lies to full on big ones that have got others in trouble. How do I deal with this?
You just put no lying on the behavior board. It's free on the website. not the lying, but the behavior board is completely free. And the rule is no lying. Every time they lie, there's a consequence. If they lie constantly all day long, you say, I'll tell you what, that's the third time you've lied today. We'll discuss it after dinner. And then you go to the second consequence. There's always 2 consequences for the kids. Check out the behavior board. You'll see what I mean. You start with a positive action, but sometimes that's not enough. You might have to go straight to the negative deprivation. So if they're lying 20 times a day, you go, by the third time, you say, I'll tell you what, we'll discuss it after dinner. Then after dinner, you say, okay, you lied a whole bunch today, so we're going to go straight to 24-hour media blackout, or whatever that second consequence is. It's the tougher one. So they'll eventually learn. Just say it like it is. No lying. If you lie, there's a consequence. Simple. It's nothing complicated about any of this. If you lie, there's a consequence. That's how we all learn. We all learn through consequences. We don't pay our taxes on time because we want to, because we're good people. We pay it on time because there's a fine if we don't. We all live our lives with consequences. That's what keeps us on track. We mean to pay our taxes on time, but we probably would be late if there was no consequence. Am I right? Right. Kids are no different. Okay.
And just clarify the BratBusters Behavior Board. You get free access when you join the newsletter. So, okay, we have Minu from Canada. 8-year-old is just being argumentative and opinionated.
That's it. Argumentative opinion. Well, that just means they don't respect you. And why are you arguing? They don't argue unless there's something to argue with. So you're probably getting pulled into it. But why would you do that? But why? Say, I don't know, I'm just crazy. Like that, I'd probably say something like that. But you're being pulled in, pretty sure about that. So yeah, they're arguing because you're giving them something to argue with. I don't argue with kids. Just say, well, you broke a rule, so or you have to go to school at 8, and that's the way it is. But I don't want to go at 8. We're going at 8, and that's going to happen. So yeah, don't get pulled in. It's a learned behavior. They don't come out of the womb arguing. It's a learned behavior. They've learned that it bothers you. I'm pretty sure it bothers you, and they're feeding off that. Whereas with me, I'd go, whatever. And I would, don't you?
No, I'm just laughing. You say they don't come out of the womb. Just imagining a little baby. Oh, it's so cold
that was
out
horrible.
here.
It's cold. I hate you. I'm going to run away. Wait, can you unhook this cord so I can run away?
I'm a little attached at the moment.
Okay, we're getting silly.
Okay. Sue from the United States. My 14-year-old keeps taking walks from our home when she doesn't get her way. How can I convince her to stay home?
I don't know about that one, and I can't really address that one because that could be dangerous. So I'd need to know what's going on. I don't know why she's taking walks when she doesn't get her own way. That doesn't make any sense. So what's the payoff for her? What I'm getting at is there must be a payoff. You could even start with the behavior board. Usually with teenagers, I call it just the rules, and say no leaving the house if no just walking up, but don't say when you're mad. You don't want to bring emotions into it. Just say no leaving the house when I don't know where you're going or whatever. And then when she does, there's a consequence. So yeah, I don't quite know what's going on there. Well, just walk away. So she just walks away, but she's doing it for a reason. She doesn't just go to her room, right? That way you could just ignore it. But this way she's kind of winning basically. But teenagers are a little bit trickier. I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting teenagers. I would even say to her, and I'll get into this, it's the second one. Number 1 with teenagers is you listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. They want your advice, they'll ask for it. They already know it anyway. Number 2 is you negotiate as much as possible. That's what I'm referring to here. I would say, I don't want you wandering off when I don't know where you're going. What do you want from me? So you could negotiate that, okay? Put it on the behavior board or call it the rules chart or whatever. Number 3 with teenagers, don't sweat the small stuff. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? And laugh it off. Like, it's okay to make mistakes. No one's perfect. Number 4, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times with teenagers. When do you discuss the bad times? Never. There's no point. It's not productive at all. It's actually counterproductive. Number 5, you can be a right fighter or you can be happy with a teenager. I won't explain that one. You kind of get that one. You usually are right when you're arguing, and they know it too, but they're gonna die on every hill, even if they know they're wrong. There's no point arguing with them. Just makes it worse. Okay.
But you would probably need to know a little bit more about that.
I would need to know more. Like, what's your relationship like? She's doing that because you're not a leader. If you're a leader, they don't act like that. They just don't. They don't rebel against a leader. They talk to you and you agree on stuff and you say, okay, well, I didn't like that. And then they'll say, well, I didn't like that either. I say, well, let's negotiate. Let's figure it out here. So that's how leadership goes. They don't rebel against a leader. My son even said he was 15. He says, and he was kind of mad when he said this. He says, I could never even rebel. You're too reasonable and easy to talk to. So that's a leader, right? I was too reasonable and easy to talk to. You can't rebel against that. Doesn't make any sense.
Okay, we have Austin from the United States. 3-year-old boy doesn't want to apologize when he hurt others. How do I handle this?
I don't care about apologies. It doesn't do anything. If he doesn't want to apologize, I don't care. Just say, okay, you hurt someone else. Here's the consequence. You have to give them your PlayStation to play with for the weekend or something. That is what teaches them the lesson, not the apology. Anyone can say, I'm sorry. You can commit any crime. If saying I'm sorry is all you ever have to do, there's no lesson in that. I didn't pay my taxes. I'm sorry. Well, that's okay. Never mind. You see, it's useless. You can get them to say, I'm sorry if it's important to you, but that's not what teaches them. We're going to teach them to not do anything that they need to say sorry about. That's basically what we're teaching them here. To not do the bad behavior in the first place. Whenever someone says, I want them to learn how to apologize, why are they keep doing things they need to apologize for?
Okay, we have one final question. So it's Amanda from the United States. 4-year-old is no arguing too big of an ask on the behavior board.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, keep going.
She argues with everything. So, for example, we were at a friend's house. She picked up a toy and asked, is this Al's? I told her no, and she started arguing, saying, yeah, it is. It's Al's. She argues about little things like this all the time. Is that something that can be put on the board?
She's playing you like a fiddle. And no, you don't put that on the board. It just means that you're not a leader. She's basically saying, I don't respect you. Okay, now if I went to, now this is a 4-year-old, remember, I wouldn't do this with a 2-year-old. You go to someone's house and you got a 4-year-old who says, is this ours? I would have said, what do you think? There's no way I would answer that. Like, what do you think? And then, yeah, I think it's ours. I go, whatever. And then, yeah, there's no way I would argue that. She's playing you like a fiddle and it bothers you. That's why. And then if she says, yeah, it's ours. Now, if she just says that, I would go, whatever. But if she tries to take it home, then there would be a big consequence for that. But yeah, she's just attitude. Doesn't respect you. You got to work on your leadership skills. You got to earn that respect. You got to work for it. They love you, but respect is different. Respect is when they care what you think and they respect the fact that you respect them too. But yeah, she's just playing you like a fiddle.
Okay, that was it for the questions, but maybe do you want to circle back? Because if you're not looking disappointed, like, is there any tactical tips on how to remain calm?
There really isn't, because that's your own emotions that you're going to have to get control of. And that's something I always say with parents. That's your job. I can teach you what to do and what not to do, but then it's your job to do it. But whenever I'm working with clients and they keep rehiring me time after time, it's for the emotional support. Because I know that is a challenge. That's probably the hardest part. It's like being given a really good diet or exercise program, but you still got to get yourself to the gym and stop eating the cake in the fridge. You get where I'm going with this? That is your part of the job. That's your part of the challenge. So yeah, it's just hard to do. But the thing is, once you start doing it, fake it till you make it. Once you start calming down and just following through with no emotions, with discipline, it gets easier and easier. But remember, the discipline is a very tiny part of everything I talk about. I mean, it's mostly what I do talk about because I'm answering your questions about discipline. But my whole theory is connecting with kids. You connect hard with kids. You play in their world. You enjoy your children, and then they will stop acting out. That is sort of the way it works. Because they don't want to lose fun mom or fun dad. They don't want to lose that friendship that you have with them. That's when the respect is really cemented. They would be embarrassed. They look up to you like a mentor. Like, you're a leader, and they look up to you. A leader is not a person who tells them what to do. A leader is a person who inspires them to do the right thing and not do the wrong thing. A leader is a person who inspires them to make good choices. And a leader is a person who gives them high self-esteem, makes them feel good. So when your 4-year-old is talking to you like that, her self-esteem's in the toilet. Could you imagine talking to someone like that? Like, it just wouldn't feel good. She doesn't feel good when she says it. I'm guaranteed she's not real happy when she says it. Guaranteed. She's testing you. She's actually trying to push you into becoming a leader. That's what they do. That's like that 8-year-old boy that I was asked to work with, and I was told he's a handful. And I met him, and he said to me, the first thing he said to me was, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit. And I said to him, bring it on. And he never did. Right? Do you think he looked happy when he said that to me? No. I didn't overreact. I just said, bring it on. Like, doesn't bother me. And he never had a fit. He was great with me. So yeah, That was his way. And you could see it in his face, his whole body language and everything. It was like, oh, she knows what she's doing. And then he just relaxed and he was great. But I had no history with him. If you have history of not doing that, they're going to push harder. It's going to take a lot longer. Okay. But I've got a lot of experience with kids, and I had no history of not doing that. So he could just tell I knew what I was doing, and there was no point fighting me, and he was happy. He was great with me. He even asked for me after that. So yeah, they're often acting out and challenging you and working you and manipulating you to force you into becoming a leader, but they don't know that really. That's almost like them asking you, can you please be a leader? Because that's really what I need. They calm down, they get happier when they've got a leader, someone they can look up to that makes them feel good about themselves.
I feel like it's like that in every situation, though.
It is. If someone makes you feel good, you do good. If someone makes you feel good, how do you treat that person? And that's what I'm all about. That's why you don't show disappointment, because it makes them feel bad. And my goal is always, I want kids to feel good. Even sometimes taking their punishment makes them feel good. Look, Lisa, I'm doing this because I did that. And I go, oh, well done. I don't go overboard with that, by the way. I don't necessarily reward their consequence. But, I go, oh, well done. You know what you're doing. Sort of like that. And then they don't tend to do the bad behavior again. I don't show disappointment or anger. I don't lecture. I don't discuss how bad they are. I don't do any of that. None. I just say, oh, shouldn't have done that. How about blah, blah, blah. There's a little consequence and that's over.
As I'm brushing your hair as my consequence.
That was the kid. I love having my hair brushed, and I've never had anyone in my life who likes doing it. I had a cousin years and years ago who used to like brushing my hair, and didn't live nearby, unfortunately. But yeah, it's the only person in my whole life who likes brushing hair. I love having my hair. So that was their consequence. Get the brush my hair for 5 minutes. I would pray they'd do something wrong and forget to make their bed or something.
I did get praised a lot for doing that.
Yeah, you did. That feels great. That feels great. And then she's like 5 minutes up yet. All she ever wanted to do was braid my hair. And I don't like having my hair braided. So I'd say, if you sneak a braid in, you're going to have to start again, do another 5 minutes. But I know from behind she was doing some secret braiding. It was funny.
Okay. That was everything.
Was that it? Okay. Thanks so much for joining us. And we'll be back again soon talking about parenting. Happy parenting. Bye now.
Thanks for tuning in. If you're ready to dive deeper, check out BratBusters.com to learn more about the Behavior Board, parenting courses, and private one-on-one coaching with Lisa. If you've enjoyed the show so far, we'd love it if you could take a moment to follow, rate, and review us on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback helps us reach more parents just like you. The information provided in this podcast is for general informational purposes only and is not intended as a substitute for professional advice. Lisa is a parenting coach, mom, and grandmother. She is not a licensed psychologist or counselor. Her services do not replace the care of psychologists or other healthcare professionals. For a full disclaimer, please visit BratBusters.com/disclaimer.